Hey, welcome to another edition of the Friday Show. I'm Ray Paulick, joined by Bloodstock editor Joe Nevills and special guest this week, Al Gold. We are brought to you by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. Joe, what is going on with TAA?
Well, it's not so much what's going on, but what they've done. Such an important organization. The Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance has over 15,500 thoroughbreds have been retrained, rehomed, or retired through organizations certified by the TAA. Those organizations, over 81 of them with approximately 180 facilities, very important. Support it.
All right. Well, Al Gold is the owner of Cyberknife, who will be making his final start in the Pegasus World Cup on Saturday, 5-2 morning line favorite, breaking from the 10 post. The last of 13 races on the day. It starts, I think, 10:50 in the morning for the first race. Al, before I ask you about Cyberknife, first of all, thanks for being here. What got you interested in horse racing? Were you a fan for a long time before you got into ownership 15, 20 years ago?
I was a fan since I was 16, going to Monticello with my family. I went to the harness races up there. That got me started. And I loved it ever since. It's a great hobby. It's a lot of joys, a lot of pain, but it's been fun all the time.
Did you dabble in standardbred racing then as an owner too, or just?
No. That was just as a degenerate horse player, not as an owner.
So tell us a little bit about your entry in the sport. What were your first experiences? What were your first, what was the first horse you campaigned?
First horse was a horse named Coup de Gras that I had a quarter of with my friend Lou Filoso, and the trainer, whose name I forget right now, who had a couple of nice horses in his day, but I can't remember who the hell they were at this point. This is like 20 years ago almost. What the hell was his name? It's got to come to me. So we had that horse. We ran him like a half a dozen times. We dropped him to a maiden claimer once. It got claimed, came back to a maiden special with a new owner, and he won by 10 lengths, the new trainer. So that was my initial joyful experience. But it was good to get my feet wet in it, and I enjoyed the experience. Being with a friend of mine to do it was good.
So I mentioned Cyberknife. You've got another horse. Cyberknife is one more start. Now you've got a horse on the way up. They just won the Lecomte Stakes last week, Instant Coffee. That's got to be exciting to have, maybe not a replacement for Cyberknife, who was one of the best 3-year-olds in the country last year, but a horse with pretty good prospects.
Yes, we're very high on Instant Coffee. A completely different horse than Cyberknife. Cyberknife's much bigger and more aggressive horse. This one is like a Silky Sullivan type, likes to come from back in the pack. And he's a little diminutive type, but he's putting it on the track. He shows it every time he's out there that he's a talent. So we're looking forward to the rest of the year with him. Louisiana Derby's next, so we'll see how that goes.
So his next start will be the Louisiana Derby. He won't be in the Risen Star then?
No, he had 8 weeks off to come here, so we're gonna do the same thing again. The more distance of the Louisiana Derby, I'm sure he'll like that better. It's a mile 3/16, I believe.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a horse that'll relish the distance.
Yeah. Well, he did well into a slow pace, and he did well into a fast pace. So his critics are going to have to come up with something else there not to like him.
So both of the horses are from leading first crop sires. Cyberknife being a son of Gunn Runner, Instant Coffee being a son of Bolt de Oro. Was that sort of by design? Do you like going after those first croppers, or is that just looking for the best horses and those happen to be the best ones in front of you?
It was a situation of my Bloodstock agents, Joe Hardoon and Chad Summers, being at the sales. I wasn't at either one of those sales. They went there, they looked at the horses, they watched, they go through thousands of horses, they see what they like the best, and we bid on them. Sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't. So these two happened to, the Cyberknife one was when the sale was canceled from Saratoga because of COVID. So it got moved to a smaller venue, and I think that kept the price down. I think if we stayed in Saratoga in August, it would have went for a hell of a lot more, and I don't know if I would have gotten it. But these guys go through and they look through a lot of horses, and they find a lot of good horses, not just these two. So we're looking forward to another big year with 2-year-olds, hopefully.
Do you have a type that you like to go for yourself as a buyer, or do you mostly let the agents sort of do the deciding for you and it's kind of final thumbs up, thumbs down for you?
They know we're looking for stuff that mares that haven't had a lot of foals. We're looking particular sires and particular not dam sires who haven't produced. So we look for. It's a small window, but most of the bloodstock agents are looking at the same thing. They all want the same thing. We all want 2-turn stars to run in May. We'll have some sprinters along the way, some mares, some fillies we'll buy, but we're all looking for the same thing, and hopefully we can land on a few like that, good ones.
Have you got a favorite race at Cyberknife's? You won the Haskell, which I think is the state you used to live in, or you do live in, New Jersey.
Well, I lived there. Well, I cursed on national television there a few times, though. That has to be my happiest place to win a race. I really loved it there. I've been going to the track there for 50 years. When I lived there, I moved away already. But no, to win at Monmouth is the greatest joy. That was a great feeling.
And you had an experience earlier in the year where you couldn't get to Arkansas to Hot Springs to see him run because of some problem with an aircraft.
Yes, we got in the plane, and I hate to fly. I just get into the plane. I go into a fetal position, sit in the corner, or lie down, and we were in a little private plane with some friends. And I started sweating, and I started having ear pressure, and then I heard the wheels go down. I figured, we flew already. We're landing, and I put my head up, and I'm looking at people. Joe Hardoon was smiling, and everybody else's face was stone white. They were all scared what it's going to be, and we didn't make it. We had to turn around and come back. And it was a very scary situation for me, but we did it, and it's over. I'm glad it was quick, and I can't imagine if it went down really fast how I would have felt. I mean, I would have had a heart attack in a half a second. But thankfully, it was a good pilot, and it got us back to Earth.
Now, I understand you named one of your horses in sort of memory of that event.
Yeah, well, we named the horse Cabin Pressure. We bought a nice a weanling Munnings colt, and both my bloodstock agents loved the horse, so we bought him, and hopefully he's in training now in Ocala, and hopefully he'll be ready to run. So another 3-4 months down the road.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk a little bit more about names, but how did you hook up with Joe Hardoon? I think he's a very young guy, right?
Yeah, he looks like he's 12, but he's actually 25. His father and I are friends for a lot of years. Jonathan Hardoon did the seminars at Saratoga for years, and every summer I come up there and I meet him and talk. We talk horses and this and that. And Joe finished school and came over, and we became friendly. So he finished school, we gave him a job. So now he's a bloodstock agent and my racing manager. And he's doing a very good job.
So big race coming up for Cyberknife, obviously here. End of the road, last start for him before he goes off to stud. What emotions are going through you right now in terms of, this is best horse you've had, biggest wins of your career, and win, lose, or draw, this is it. Sort of what goes through your mind at this point, and I'm sure it'll change as the horse is entering the gates as well. But, right now, where's your head at?
It's a bittersweet feeling because I really enjoyed the last 2 years with him, and I would have loved to race him another year, but I had to take money off the table because, I lose money every year in this sport. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go broke. So I had to take some money off the table, and that's what we did. So now we're going to wait a few years for his foals to hit the ground. But we'll enjoy the last race, win or lose. And thankfully we have more horses coming up to enjoy for the rest of the year. But it will be a big loss, losing him.
Yeah. Is Cyberknife the first horse that you've had go off to stud?
No, I had a horse that I made a stallion that I shouldn't have years ago. Didn't have any black type, and I just threw money at a horse that didn't pan out.
Gotcha. What has sort of
Rule
going
by
through
night? That was the name of
Rule
that.
by Night. Oh, I remember that horse. I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
So what has going through the process of sort of getting, booked to Spendthrift with Cyberknife? What have you learned about the stallion process as an owner? What was that process like for you?
It was very simple. They sent out a contract. I had a few other offers. Theirs was the best. I didn't want to negotiate it. I just wanted to do it and get it over with. And because I knew I had to do something. It wasn't like I just wanted to get it over with. They sent me a contract. I had it reviewed by a lawyer and signed it and sent it back. There was no negotiating. No, I wanted this. I want that. The offer I thought was very fair, and I passed it by a few people who've had many stallions, and they said it was a very good offer. So I just that was it. It was very quick.
Is it kind of like the college recruiting process where you have a bunch of different farms calling you up and saying, listen, this is what I can do for you if you come stand with me?
Yes, it was like that. One offer was very low. Another offer was comparable, a little bit less maybe, but we heard the Spencer people were the best ones to deal with, so we went with them.
And do you breed? Do you own many mares yourself? Or?
Yeah, I've been in and out of the breeding game. I have one good horse racing now, who that's me, that we bred, that's doing well in New York. But for the most part, I'm just throwing darts at the wall when I'm breeding. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. And I ask people, and everybody acts like an expert, but I don't think anybody really knows what the hell they're doing. So I bought a few mares for Cyberknife. I'll breed 5 horses to them. We'll see how they turn out.
So Cyberknife is a horse that, you named after a surgical device.
I had cancer when I was 65 a few years ago, and the Cyberknife method was the method that was used to radiate the cancer. It was five easy treatments, and we named it that. And we thought people would, if they're unfortunate to have prostate cancer like I did, they could go to this. And then I learned afterwards, because the University of Louisville had a lot to do with it, and when I was in Kentucky for the Derby, that a lot of different people, that it's used for a lot of different things. People with brain cancer, a lot of different cancers, and it was a simple procedure. It's not painful like whatever the other stuff is that causes people a lot of pain. So I highly recommend it, and I'm glad I named the horse that. And I hope there was somebody out there that benefited from hearing me and went that route instead of a more painful way, or the removal of the prostate, or what's the word I'm thinking of that I can't think of. That's painful way of getting rid of cancer.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I mentioned that was a serious name. Some of the other names, not so serious.
Not so serious, yes.
I kind of learned about your naming when there's a horse named Wendell Fong running. And I learned that's a character from Frasier that maybe didn't even exist, but he was paged or something.
Yeah, there was an episode. You had to watch the show and enjoy the show. There was an episode where the two of the main characters are getting married. They're running off from a wedding. The woman was being married, and she changed her mind, and she ran off. And the phone rings in the van they're in, and the camper they're in. And the man thinks that they have to go back now to tell everybody, and he's ready to answer the phone. And he answers the phone. Wendell Fong's not here. They asked for Wendell Fong, so it was a silly thing, but I had other silly names. So.
Another Frasier character, Daphne Moon, of course.
Yes.
Seinfeld, you've got Sue Ellen Mishkin,
right?
Going all the way back into the 1950s, Al, from Peter Gunn's show, Streetcar Jones.
Yes, well, I didn't know you knew that one. Yeah,
you can Google anything now.
Well, some of them named after people. Some of the better ones. I had Lunch with Godzilla was named after one of my wife's friends who acted like Godzilla. She would go out to lunch with her, so I named her a horse Lunch with Godzilla. A close friend of mine, I named my Italian rabbi. The horse did well, won a couple stakes.
I saw that one. And I didn't know that Felix Unger had a brother, but there's a Floyd Unger that's raced.
Yes, Felix Unger's brother. Didn't do too well on the track, but I had Felix. I have a nice painting of him in my house in Saratoga.
Also, I don't know if you named Cleon Jones, but Miracle Mets.
I sent Cleon a letter. I never met the man, but he does a lot of charitable work in Africatown in his home state in Alabama. And I wrote him a letter, and I told him I want to name this horse after him. I made a donation to his charity, and he signed that it was okay. Unfortunately, that was a very nice horse. Unfortunately, he died a little early in life. He was talented. He got infected and passed away.
A little homage to the Grateful Dead, Box of Rain. Is that?
Yes, I named a couple of Dead songs in there. I like the Dead. Also, another one that wasn't that much talent on the track, but nonetheless, I thought I liked the name.
Mm-hmm.
Take Me to Hardoon. Obviously, John or Joe. But what's the story there?
I knew John earlier than Joe, and I wanted to name a horse after him. I also have a couple other ones. I named one Thank You, John. John likes to say thank you a lot, John Hardoon. So we named one Thank You, John, who we expect to come back in another few months and have a good 3-year-old campaign.
Well, I'm assuming from all those names that you have watched a lot of television in your day.
A lot of way too much. Way too much ticket.
Do you have specific ones when you know you've got a real banger of a name? Do you kind of save that for the better horses, or ones you perceive might be better? Or is it kind of, I have a name, I have a horse, we have a deal?
Usually just the name, the horse comes up, and then we decide to name it. A lot of the names I really liked, the Jockey Club didn't agree with me. They didn't like the name, so we passed on a few. But it's fun to do for a few minutes. Come up with names. Named one Under the Overpass that's coming up soon to run as a 2-year-old, and what else do I have coming up? A triple word score. Scrabble
Nice.
fan.
I approve.
You like that one, Joe?
I saw Next Stop Poughkeepsie. That's an odd one.
I had a good friend for many years who was a sports writer for 30-odd years, Bill Handleman. I don't know if you remember Bill.
Oh, sure.
I would say Next Stop Poughkeepsie, he would hold on to the strap like we were on the subway. So I would tease him with that. So that's what we named that horse.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time today. We want to wish you the best of luck on Saturday with Cyberknife and in the Louisiana Derby with Instant Coffee. Do you have any other prospects that we haven't seen yet that are 3-year-olds that may be worth following?
We have Slip Mahoney that just broke his maiden the other day, who's going to go into the stake in New York. Not the Withers. He'll go into the Gotham. So we hope he'll have to improve a little bit to get into Instant Coffee's neighborhood talent-wise, but we're hopeful.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to join us on the Friday show, brought to you by Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. And,
yes, one thing I wanted to jump in on the TAA, the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, their Off to the Races online benefit auction taking place January 26th through February 3rd. Premium VIP packages at some of North America's most anticipated racing events. Check out the website, make some bids, help some horses.
All right, well, good luck in the Pegasus World Cup, Al, and thanks again. We'll see you all next week.
Support award-winning independent horse industry journalism and become a Paulick Report Insider on Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, insiders get access to exclusive Q&As with Paulick Report staff, insight behind our editorial process, exclusive opinions and on-site analysis, Paulick Report merch, and more. This is not a paywall. The website you know and love will always be the same. But if you want more, and you want to make our coverage even better, visit patreon.com/Paulick Report and become a Paulick Report Insider today.